The coming election has unraveled many stones, causing crisis in some political groups about who to vote and not to vote for. The latest is the Afenifere group and other associations in the Southwest whom the APC presidential candidate visited to get their endorsement. After being endorsed by many Southwest leaders and the former leader of the Afenifere group, Reuben Fasoranti, the new acting leader of the group, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, has rejected his endorsement. And now there have been backlash on what may have prompted this decision. That is what we'll be talking about in the next couple of minutes. Joining me now is a public affairs commentator, Ayo Adebanjo. It's nice to have you join me right now.
Thank you for having me.
Great. All right, as we get along, we'll have Razak Olukoba also join us on the group and on the discussion, and then we'll talk. All right, now let's start this way. I believe that over the years, even those who are not Yoruba have come to understand or come to appreciate the role of Afenifere group, you know, and what they do for the Southwest, you know, and the stability and all of that. But for those who may not be aware of the role it plays in the scheme of things, can you give us an idea of what role the Afenifere group plays in the whole scheme of things, in the social, cultural, and maybe political landscape?
Well, in every society, you must have leaders, especially in communities, as the case may be. Afenifere is a pan-Yoruba social cultural group that protects primarily the interests of the Yoruba nation and anything that concerns Yoruba people. Within the structure, you also have political interest, because politics also determines the well-being of human activity, as the case may be. The leaders are there to make sure that things go all right, and particularly within a state like Nigeria, where you have multi-ethnic interest. Afenifere also becomes a fulcrum to protect that interest. But also remember that we do have Egbe Omo Odudua, and that was the first one that was put together by Chief Maja and the rest. And over time, Awolowo came and Afenifere came to be, and as they journeyed on, if I may use the word, Nadeco also came, but Nadeco is a bigger platform that embraces different...
even beyond the Yoruba interest.
But again, it was founded by predominantly Yoruba interest. So that is it.
I see. All right. Now, it is believed that whatever the Afenifere, you know, decide, although not necessarily exclusive, but to a great extent wield a lot of influence on how Yoruba people as a race will reason and think, shape an opinion in that regard. Now, 2023 is here, and the way that things are going from the endorsement of two various presidential candidates by stalwarts of the Afenifere group is sending a lot of comments and making Nigerians or even Yoruba people debate what is really going on. Reuben Fasoranti, the immediate past leader of the group, a few days ago endorsed the candidate of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Meanwhile, there was also the report of the leader, Ayo Adebanjo, endorsing Peter Obi of the Labour Party. And this has generated a lot of comments and even backlash. You know, what do you think is going on here?
Well, it's a case of interest. But the supreme interest should be the interest in which the organization was founded. And that is the interest of protecting primarily that of the Yoruba people. And in saying that, I don't think Fasoranti have gone out of line to have endorsed Bola Ahmed Tinubu, hinging it on their primary interest of existence. And before he did that, of course, he consulted. He consulted far and wide. From the video I saw and the nomenclature of people that were there, these are eminent Yoruba people that fought very strongly to keep the interest of the Yoruba nation on the table in the Nigerian state. And of course, some of them also fought that Nigeria be not divided, especially General Akinri Ade, that I saw there. And you also saw the economist, Chief Olufalaye. You saw Chief Akin Elure, and many of them, illustrious Yoruba sons and daughters were there. So I think we should not overflog the matter. We should look at the basis of the foundation of the organization, which is to protect the interest of the Yoruba people. So if Chief Fasoranti have endorsed a Yoruba man, it conforms with the creation and the ethics of that organization.
If you see, or if you read the argument of Chief Ayo Adebanjo in endorsing the candidate of the Labour Party, he was talking from the perspective of fairness and equity, national fairness, national balance and things like that. And from that premise, anybody who is non-Yoruba would say, of course, the elders of Yoruba are thinking national. What do you make of that perspective?
You see, I'm privileged to have about 5 blood streams that flows through my vein. About 5 places. First, I'm from Ondo State by my father.
Amazing.
My mother is a princess from Lagos.
Fantastic.
My great-granddad came from Sierra Leone. My great-grandmom came from Ghana.
Wow.
I'm also from Isekiri, from the Boyos. So I appreciate...
in Delta State.
In Delta State. And my aunt, our first cousin from the Igbo land, my aunt, Auntie Helen Ekweme, was married to former Vice President Alex Ekweme. So I understand diversity. And I'm also privileged to have trained under some of the best, like Chief Anthony Nahoro, CFR, Dr. Beko, Professor Shoika, through the citizens forums and all of these things. So I understand the dynamics of this. But when you bring it to the table, looking at what confronts Nigeria now, it's not about pettiness. It's about competence. Who can bail us out? I keep saying that if Dr. Alex Ekweme was alive, or somebody like Emeka Anyoko, Chief Emeka Anyoko, was still very able. These are people that can compete very strongly with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, looking at his pedigree, looking at his political capital, looking at his experience, trying to solve the dire situation that confronts us as a nation. Today, the dollar is 815. It's very horrendous. We are confronted with insecurity matters and many of these things. When Asiwaju came to become governor in 1999, Nigeria was also confronted with many of these marriage issues, especially insecurity. But again, out of his ingenuity, he could not create a state police structure. But again, he used what he met and created the RRS and equipped them the more, funded them the more. But what I love in that policy formulation and working of his was that he created a structure that is sustainable by creating a resource stream that still sustained the RRS regardless of the Lagos State budget, which again is very much competitive, looking at different
demands here and
there. If he hadn't created that system, how would Lagos State look like today? When you just oppose it with Obi, okay, let's look at milestone policies, milestone projects that the two of them had opportunity
as governors.
I've talked about security, which again is sustainable. You look at economic development. I won't talk about IGR being raised, but again, is a key thing. But we look at structures that provide resource. Look at what he did at the Eco Atlantic, using ingenuity without spending Lagos State funds, bringing in the private sector.
Private sector.
Who would want to invest such money to confront the Atlantic Ocean? But he was able again to woo them in, giving incentives and working with the federal government, despite the fact that he was running an opposition state. They supported him. They created more landmass to the extent that they improved the economy of Lagos. Let's go to the free trade zone. These are sustainable things that create wealth. The free trade zone, he was able to create something there. Even when Dangote and the rest were looking for land in other states, they couldn't get it because of the insecurity there and the demand. But again, they came to Lekki Free Trade Zone. Now they're producing fertilizer. The deep sea port
is ready.
There was a company that commissioned their presence there recently. They deal in hydrocarbons and all of that. They have not paid for commercial whatever, so I won't mention their name. These are sustainable things.
We also understand that a world-class airport will be sited around that area.
It has begun. By the time you go to the Badagry area, they are also constructing another port there. A local company, Discover Oil, the Folawiyo Group, and all of that is also adding value to the Lagos enclave. The Blue Rail will start running anytime from now, and all that. And even the fintech industry are allowed to come in. Now, when you liken it to what Obi have done, look, Obi is a nice guy. I like him and all that. But one of my teachers told me that you don't sacrifice competence at the altar of self-pity. But we need to move this nation. As of now, regardless of where the person comes from, we need an egghead, somebody that we can leverage on and move this country forward.
All right. We'll come back to this so we understand. When we come back, we'll talk about the importance of endorsements at times like this, what it does to any candidate, either this side or the other side, however way it is. We'll come back on this. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back for more on this discussion. You're watching TVC Breakfast, and we are talking, on this segment, we are talking about the debate and the conversation from Nigerians, especially in the Southwest, around the endorsement of elders of a portion of the elders of Afenifere group of one political candidate, that's the Labour Party, and another group of elders endorsing another candidate, that's Bola Tinubu of the APC. And we're looking at the implication and also the importance of all of these. And I have with me Ayo Adebanjo, a social commentator, and we are looking at this issue. Of course, joining us in the studio as well is Razak Olukoba, who we've been expecting since. Razak, good morning.
Thank you very much.
It's good to see you.
Good morning.
I guess the traffic dealt with you this morning.
Sorry about that.
No, we're all in Lagos, so we understand what the issue is. All right, now we started the discussion before you came, but now that you're here, let me throw this question to you. Comrade Ayodele had laid the foundation of understanding what Afenifere is and the role that they play in the scheme of things. But however, let's come to the issue of endorsements. Why is it so important to have endorsements from organizations for candidates at this time? Because we see candidates crisscrossing the country, as the case may be, getting endorsements from different organizations, corporate organizations, social organizations, political organizations, and so on.
Well, thank you very much. I know Ayo here is from the same school of thought from me. I didn't know what he has said, but it can't be different from what I would say if I'm here, which is clearly that when Ayo came on board, there were the Egba are doing their business on their own, the Jebus, the Oyos, Ayo came and harmonized them. He created a synergy for all of us to work together as one in Yoruba land. He didn't just do that by magic. For you who wants to play politics, join AG. For who just love Yoruba land, the welfare, the security, and he created an organization which has transformed to what you have as Afenifere today.
He mentioned the Egbe Omo Oduduwa at that time.
That is it. You know, I say there can't be anything different from what we say. So when Awo left, he said, so continue to rest in peace. I just came on board and followed the template. The same thing for Adesina, but today there seems to be that gap. When we say we are a coalition member of Afenifere, we are not essentially a member, but they created a participatory role for us each time there were discussions. When it comes to welfare of Yoruba land, it's not a political organization, but about welfare, the culture, what Yoruba people want in Nigeria. That's essentially what they're all about. Well, like we have said, why are we having people talking about endorsement? This is about the first time since 1999 we are going to be having very robust engagement. That's how should be doing. When you have manifesto, people will want to talk to you. Manifesto will talk about the political, the economic model. What do your government intend to do? Not promissory note of I'll do road, I'll do electricity. Concrete manifesto. And that's on the basis of why people want to talk to you. When you say you are going to create a model that will promote the basic economy of the world, the transport, the origin industry, oil sector, organization will talk to you, want to talk to you, because they know that your political career and their faith is tied together. And that's why I'm having this question of the whole endorsement. For our leaders in Afenifere, we have always maintained that position because there were complaints that Afenifere came on board. There was no how AIG will not come on board because it's not a group. Afenifere it's not a group. It's a coalition of. Why do you think I will speak and people say that's the Yoruba position? They engage everybody. I will engage everybody. But today, when Baba speaks, they will say Baba is on his own. Because that template is missing. So, if you watch that video, you see that Falawe, as usual, made very impressive speech there that is also always ready to offer. What do you call that?
At the Akure meeting.
At the Akure, what do you call that? That's a tacit endorsement. The people who are managing those old men should be held responsible for all this thing that they are going through. In those days, we were engaged. I was one of the very closest person to Bola Ahmed. We engaged them all night. We engaged Ifalai all night. We engaged all these old men all night. That door has been shut now, not for people like us, but every other people. So that when they talk, people will say, could that be our position? And that is why there's a crisis of perspective for Afenifere today. That's what informed that crisis of perspective when you make a position that is very, very far away from what the Yoruba people want. What we want now is clear. Yoruba just don't want Asiwaju. We want Asiwaju because Yoruba has created a model in governance which has promoted peace. Look at the model we have always had, the alliance between other ethnic groups and the North, because North has always been a reckoning factor in our political space. The model led to first model led to civil war, the first model led to almost break up in Nigeria. But since that time to today, the new model on ground, nobody will say it should be jettisoned. People have debt, political debt. Well, now, this is a workable model. All that is to fall in place. Once you get that model correctly, then once you get that alliance correctly, economic issue will fall in place. All of that issue that is missing will fall in place. And that's why we are today. I always say a politician, I'm not a politician. But it is very important to me that the what is on ground today works. Particularly when you see a particular region embracing Asiwaju. They are the one even polishing him and trying to make us see what we are unable to see about him. I'm saying, no, we know this is about him already. We are just reminding us. So we manage our interests together. So it's important to me that we must locomote politically. The country must move forward. We must come together. All we need to do, the elders in APC, all they need to do is to re-engage Afenifere again. let's engage them again. It's not the time for talking. There are things that they don't see that we need to make them see.
Now, Ayo Adebanjo talked about the primary role of the Afenifere, like you said, which is to see to the welfare and the progress of the Yoruba race. Now, the position taken by Ayo Adebanjo, where he endorsed, or he was said to have endorsed Labour Party, someone who is not from the Yoruba race, on the ground of the argument of saying, okay, we're looking at national equity, we're looking at national fairness and balance and all of that. Do you see that move as anti-Yoruba?
That's why I'm saying that guys who are managing, or the people who are managing our elders now, are not doing the right thing.
Okay.
They open door for
so
discussion.
there's a place of misunderstanding of what the perspective is.
There's a place of a platform that is always available for discourse, where we engage the leadership of Afenifere. And once we arrive, it has always been on those states before. And just in then, such template is missing now. Such that when this kind of thing happens, we are about the first group that disagree with Bola Ahmed openly. Because there was that missing link, which is similar to what Adebanjo was doing. And no, that's not our position. Even if you want to, I think 60% of people took part in Judicial didn't vote for Abiola. But when the question of justice came on board, it was not because it was Abiola, it was a question of justice, which made us also fight for Obasanjo when he was arrested, which also made us fight for Yaradua when he was arrested. And the list is endless like that, that when we take a position, that motion must be upheld. So it is that missing link that gave Baba the opportunity to take contrary decision from what Yoruba want. And that link, a lot of us are working on it. A lot of organizations are working on it. That was what effort that led to a RG. And we must continue. Because the Arewa Consultative Forum, the effort is very dear to them. Don't toy with it. That's what is dear to them. The northern leaders have always made it known to Nigerian leaders, wherever you come from, either Igbo, Ijo, anywhere that we believe so much in the Nigerian project. But the affinity between us and our brothers, Fulani brothers in Niger, you have to respect it. That's them. So why will Yoruba not say that the position of Yoruba within Nigeria should not be respected? Which is part of the fact that when the question of identity comes on board, you must respect the question of agreement, of identity. Identity which says that as long as we uphold this kind of political model in place, we must recognize the need for people to hear their political views, which is not only view, it must also transform to participation in governance. Yeah. And that's what we are, that's the stage at which we are today. This position we have espoused at every level of Yoruba organizations. And the missing link is that we have impressed it on Baba on several occasions that you can't take a decision. If I were to be alive today, the way he has supported and how to move independence, sitting behind him to move the independent motion for independence for Nigeria, that's the way I would have been sitting behind Tinubu today. I'm convinced about that. I didn't release with Awolowo. We were children, we were not born that time. But that's the position we will take today. So it is contrary. The little political education we have, it is going to be contrary to what our position will have been. So that is not going to be our last position.
Okay, let me come back to you, Comrade Ayo Adebanjo. If you look at these candidates that we're talking about, have also been to visit Arewa Consultative Forum, and at that point, they gave their platform to listen to all the candidates who have the interest to speak to them, and the issue of endorsement is left within them as to what they want to do after listening to all of them. Some groups have said that if Afenifere had given that platform, all candidates come and talk to us, let us hear everything, present your manifesto, let us know the details of what you want and what the interest of Yoruba will be in your agenda. That would have reduced this issue of I endorse this person or I endorse that person. What do you say to that?
The platform has always been open. The platform is for you to ask, and they open the door. I don't think any of them have gone there and they've said no. Asiwaju have gone. He has spoken to them as an Omoluabi Yoruba. And they've seen his program. They bought into his program. And don't forget, he has been joining on with them for a long time. They've been working together for a long time. During the dark days of the military jackboot, Asiwaju was with them. He was also funding their activities. What do you think, or where do you think they will stay as at now? Many of the programs that is bringing on board were programs that they thought about together and how they envision Nigeria to be. Now you are having one of your own, one of your comrades, coming to carry on the torch. Do you think they will abandon such a person? Because he is going to deliver what they've always talked about. Definitely they will go with him. And likewise, many of the nationalities also. Remember that before Alfred Rwani was killed, he is a member of NADECO. Or should I say was a member. Do you think the South-South, especially the progressive ones there, will say no to Asiwaju's candidature? Asiwaju also worked with a lot of them in the North. The PDM, or the is it the PDM structure?
The PDM.
And all of that, even before Atiku came in, he had been working with Yar'Adua, the late Yar'Adua. He's part of that structure, despite the fact that...
Yar'Adua, the general.
The senior.
Yeah, the senior, not the
not
president.
Not the junior, the senior. You understand? If he has not even jettisoned his interest at the Just Convention, it will be difficult for MK Abiola to have gotten that ticket. Those structures are still there. And those structures also have offshoots, even if some of them have passed on. We both belong to the Nadeko-Pronaco structure. Do you think if Olokwuoba is going for something, I will say no, especially when it tallies with what we have discussed all over time? We also have friends across the Niger, even friends across the north. There's a friend of mine, Saleh Kuba, the secretary of Mieti Allah. Do you think if I am putting an interest on the table, a Saleh will say no? A Saleh is with us on this Asiwaju's project. Yakasai, Umar, the son of Tanko Yakasai. I was part of those who brought him to APC. I said, let us work for Asiwaju because of what we have discussed in NANS, pre-99. And this is a man that will achieve it for us. And he came, left Kwankwanso to join us. We have discussed with Asari Dokuba and so many of them. They are all on board with us. We are offshoots. We are still underneath the cadreship, where Asiwaju and the rest are. So it's an alliance of old guards that are working towards attaining this particular agenda to build the Nigerian state that we have ever envisioned. And the time is now.
All right, Razak, Ayo Adebanjo said that there are attempts to split the Afenifere group based on the recent development. And some people have said if this is not handled properly, there could be far-reaching implications. What do you say to this?
Well, the only person that we have to manage in Afenifere will be Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All other people, we don't respect you, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All other people seem to understand the peculiarity of now. And when I read Baba said that he has not endorsed, it might have been around some pressure. Because the excitement I see in him that day is not as a result of any inducement or as a result of any question. A man of 90-something years, so what did he want in life again? So he's convinced. So, but when people around him makes a position, no, he's a leader, you have to go and express it. So the person we may have to work on will prevail on in and out that, okay, that's a legitimate view. If it is going to, so after May 29, we will all come back again and review the political process Allow Baba to take whatever position he wants to take. And that's how it should be. Just like I said, you have also agreed that within the party, within the organization, if he feels that it's going to be other person that he wants, fine. But it should not be imposed on others, because it's becoming an harassment to others too. Others who may want to express view to join Asiwaju have been harassed to say no, which is the picture we are seeing at the moment. So we have to prevail on me. Afenifere is important to us. We don't want to have another group to come out of it, just like ARG has come out of it. The project on ground is uniting all the Yoruba people. Don't you see it? I don't want to cite instances because it may have political implication. But don't you see it in Yoruba land? And that was exactly what Awolowo did. Before I came, there were splinters of group in Yoruba land. It came and harmonized. It was not magic. It was what they saw in Ayo that gravitated people towards him. So the unity that is going on in Yoruba land, we have to undo exceptional cases like Adebanjo's own. We have to undo it very carefully so that we not distort what is happening. I have traveled around Yoruba land. I'm not a politician. I'm an activist. I love Nigerians. I want it to work. I've seen an example in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine. People deny Ukraine when they get to a point. So I want unity. I want peace in Nigeria. So we'll be going on promoting peace as a member of civil society, as a businessman, promoting peace. But what I've seen in recent time is that a new that is about to emerge in Asiwaju. When I had Obasanjo for the first time, the center of school in 1992, when I first heard of it, we didn't meet him until 1994 when I addressed us in a rally and at a program. I've seen something in him. And from that time to date, there's that recurring decimal in him that he has a capacity when there are war factions going on. He has that capacity to make you feel happy as someone that is fighting me, to make me happy as someone that is fighting you as a mediator. What is bringing on board in terms of the 80-page manifesto, I have read the synopsis of it, and I have seen that this is bye-bye to Nigerian disunity. I have seen that the whole question of agitation has been accommodated in that manifesto. If it's get through and become the president, and that manifesto is implemented, the North will be happy. And when a leader like that emerges, it's your responsibility, Michael. It's all of us, our duty to ensure that it gets there. Because for how long are we going to be lamenting about Nigeria is not moving forward? 7th most populated country in the world, if not for our own sake, for the sake of the rest of Africa, who are looking up to us, who must allow Nigeria to work. And the new part that has emerged to us is Asiwaju. We must make sure anything that is going to be an obstacle to him, he must find a way of peacefully, gently, in a manner that will not distort the ongoing locomotion and the exodus, to put it as. So Babas should be discussed with. Babas should make to understand, okay, if that's your decision. But majority of Afenifere, from what I'm seeing, wants Asiwaju. The way Falai has spoken, Chifalai has spoken, gives you a message that when you get there, this is what I've always been telling our government, we don't want appointment from anybody again. But we can offer advice. I've read Chifalai's position paper. I have engaged him severally, both in Nakure and this is a photocopy of what Asiwaju is doing. Side by side, what Asiwaju is doing. The view about Nigeria, what can promote peace, what can make all ethnic groups trust each other, what will make Ijo not say that Fulani is responsible for my calamity, what will make Hausa man not say that it is the Igbo people, what will make Igbo people feel safe in Nigeria. Is that manifesto? So anything that we need to do must be done. I will vote for him. I vote for him, and I will canvass, I will mobilize for him, I will ensure that he gets there. And we are not going to leave it at that. If he becomes the president again, we will continue our advocacy and engagement to ensure that he don't depart from the manifesto that he has read to us.
All right. Actually, the issue of some people have said that the two elders, two leaders, and the two icons of Afenifere were a little hasty in their endorsement. That if consultations were wider and then both of them also speaking to each other, that it could have or would have averted this situation where it seemed like Afenifere is drawn, on this side and then on the other side?
Afenifere is not drawn on any side.
Okay.
Afenifere has a leader, and the leader is Chief Fasoranti. So he's not drawn.
But
the leader have not gone
in his position as in 2021, he said because of my age, he needed to bring somebody on board who was a little more agile than himself.
I want to take you to Saudi Arabia. You have the king of Saudi, you have the crown prince. The fact that the king has ceded some power to the crown prince doesn't mean that there's no king.
Okay.
When the American president went there, he went to meet the king. The crown prince received him and he went to meet the king. The king gives the final blessings to any decision. And that's how it will be. So the fact that power has been ceded doesn't mean that power has been removed. If the man now say, I can play my role, especially in a case that is as delicate as this, and it now comes out to decree, then everybody move in. And before he did that, there was wild consultation. That was why you saw the rank and file came to that meeting. They were all at that meeting, the rank and file. So if it is not complete, it doesn't mean that the majority is not there. And for him to have pronounced and give that blessing, it means he has the backing of
Others.
All right. We saw also the deputy governor of Oyo State, who was there, Bola Ahmed. He was there in Akure, and of course, the deputy governor being there shows that the state government is there. When it comes to political party, of course, Oyo State is PDP. Some people have seen it as an anti-party activity from the deputy governor, but others have seen it as the Yoruba agenda. Which should, when people are going to read it, what should they be reading?
Well, first and foremost, you have said it that Afenifere is not a political party. Just like you told me that he said that they are for our welfare. And the fact that your government is run by a PDP party, it does not exclude them from the list of son of Yoruba and daughters of Yoruba. So for him to be there, it's just the age-long call by the people that if you are not in AD or AC or APC or any member of Afenifere, the age-long call that all of us are Yoruba now. You have to appropriate. So
your first Yoruba before you became members of any political party.
That means that position has been accommodated. And for us to, at the beginning, we were wary. But at a point, we realized that when it comes to discussing affairs of Yoruba, recent example has shown that we have to see that position. When Oyo is very central. When we are talking about security of Yoruba land, and we said that police are mothers and fathers of some other people, Nigerians must come around to aid them by encouraging the state governors who are founders of Afenifere to contribute to the security of the land. Oyo played a very central role too. Nobody said that because they have PDP, because they are, as far as we are concerned, insecurity does not have a tribal mark. It rages. Whether you are in PDP or APC, it rages on and on. So for him to be there, one. That two is that I also said something that I don't want to start mentioning him. The emergence of Aswaju is uniting, just like what happened in the days of Awolowo, is uniting all of us. Is bringing all of us together. Because before, I don't know whether people don't trust other Yoruba people that have been marching before. But now that he has emerged, there's a trust that he is going to move us forward.
Okay.
The rest of the nation will not hold us responsible for bringing Nigeria backward. There's assurance that when he becomes the president, the country will move forward.
Okay.